Hi, everybody. Raphael, how's the semester going?
I just started recording, so please go ahead.
Oh,
It's going. Thanks.
Hi,
Thanks.
welcome everyone. We have a very brief agenda. There's work to do, but the agenda is very simple. It's just working through our plans for outreach after the initial report. Now, I guess one thing to say before we start is that we're doing this meeting and working through this idea of a post-initial report outreach effort with a pending review of the calendar, which is happening tomorrow night. In other words, the larger committee is set to discuss and vote on a proposed extension and new calendar of deadlines and so on. So I just want to be cognizant that, our original idea of having to kind of squeeze a lot of effort into basically from now until early October, mid-October, may shift a little bit if that proposed calendar or some version of it gets approved in the committee tomorrow. Make sense?
Sorry, folks. Someone's picking up something from my house. I'll be back in 3 minutes.
Got it.
that makes sense. So what we're going to do is what I think is proposed from point X, whenever that turns out to be. Here's our plan.
Right. And
That's why yeah, good. Like, should we wait? Probably.
yeah, we can give Raphael a minute. And Meg, I know you resent the draft piece, which we can talk through. And then I guess we also want to talk through the originally there was a list of
Yeah.
contacts, and I was looking for that in my folder.
Oh, I should have sent that. The thing is that it's not very complete.
Yeah,
My
that's okay.
suggestion, maybe I'll wait for Raphael, but is that
Yeah.
Sam do what she does, and then we'll focus on the neighborhood email lists,
Right.
which as far as I know, nobody's ever collected. We have about 15 of them, but I think there are at least 15 more.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
So
gonna
what
get a
what
better-
I'm doing while we're waiting for Raphael is just looking for my copy of that list.
Okay, and I'm gonna go get a better pen.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
Yeah.
Gave me a chance to get a better pen.
Yeah.
I still use a pen. Remember these?
Still use. Still using.
I haven't located it. I was looking, Raphael, I was looking for
Should I
the
send it
list.
to you again?
That would be great.
You're looking for the calendar?
No, I was looking for the list that Meg had started way back for outreach contacts and ideas and
I could just go to my sent mail because that's where it would be at probably. Let's see.
you can also send it a little later. We can
Okay,
start with
let's
we can
start.
start with the overview, which is the ideas that we had come up with for doing outreach. Do they still make sense? And where do we want to put the majority of our energies? Given that we probably can't do everything, but maybe we have some more room to do more than we thought, given that the timeline may be extended.
Yeah. If we deal with the proposed timeline, the time between the submission of the initial report to the preliminary report is from 10:02 to 10:30, just FYI. So it looks like the proposal is to submit that initial report to town council by 10:02 and then get the preliminary report in at the end of the month.
Okay, so it's a similar number of weeks. It's
Yeah.
just different weeks, I think.
Could you say again when we think we'll get
So the proposed dates, and it's in the, I guess we'll review it tomorrow, 10/2, October 2nd, submission of initial report to town council. And then there's a submission of the preliminary report on 10/30. In
Yeah.
the same plan though, I think we should definitely push to be clear about what's included in this timeline
Yeah,
explicitly. There's some stuff about it being reviewed by Collins, a plan to draft a preliminary report, but the activity that might take place here isn't reflected. I think
right. I agree. And
really-
how long it'll take. And also, what's in the initial, the substance of the initial report to the council that's different from the preliminary report? The preliminary report, I guess, is substantive about what we're hearing. But then what's the initial report?
The initial report is the first one.
Yeah, but what's in it?
It's going to be a version of what we went through on the
I see.
retreat, the completed version of that, a sort of set of, this is what I'm imagining. This is not what's been fully clarified, but it's a
Right.
version of that that's kind of cleaned up with a sort of consensus view of what we see has risen to the top so far
Uh-huh.
in our outreach, in the input that we've received from our outreach efforts so far.
And how's that different from the preliminary report?
Well, go ahead, Raphael, please.
You go ahead. You go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, the one of the biggest differences I think is that we're planning to, and part of our meeting tonight is to schedule an additional push for outreach with something for people to respond to, which is this initial report. So if the initial report exists as a list of like, this is, as you said in your letter, what did we miss? What is still needs to be addressed? How can we further kind of, clarify or emphasize certain things? If, some of the things in this current spreadsheet, as an example, are kind of contradictory or confusing, even in like one line next to the other.
Right.
And so that kind of thing, some of it will be resolved by our discussions as a committee and some of it won't. And some of it, right, it needs additional
Right.
input. And so that's where I think a preliminary report, which is draft 2, is going to be
Okay.
a more
Important.
refined version and a
Yeah.
more complete version of that. And Raphael, if you have a
Yeah.
different view,
No, I think folks review initial report, and that's folks in the community and provide feedback about that.
right?
What I think we need to think about here is, are we centering this second push solely on the initial report? Or is this second push also an opportunity for folks to weigh in on anything? We want to like illuminate that part in terms of like, we could lean into the initial report, respond to it. We could also add to that and say, if you didn't have a chance to sort of engage with this charter review process, you still have that time now.
Right. And
Absolutely.
I happened to see a member of the council today by something else. And she said, "Oh, I still haven't gotten my input to you. So if people are sitting around counselors are still working on their input, we better tell them to put a hustle on it, right?"
Yeah, but this speaks to what Raphael was just saying.
Yeah.
It's a both and, right? Like it's like
Both and.
there's an extended window to please engage and also please respond to what has been collected so far.
Right.
It's both.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think we need to, even now, encourage anybody on the council who's working on something to get it to us.
Yeah.
They don't have to wait for the initial report.
Yeah.
But I do think part of what we discussed as part of this second push was our writing, perhaps that going out with us, soliciting folks to respond to, share.
Mhm.
But we also talked a bit about like engaging like other stakeholders, targeted ones, where we would like town council. Are we still thinking about inviting them to share? That'll have to be planned sooner as opposed to later. Where are you all with that?
Let me, just to this point, Raphael, I was just going to
Mhm.
share my screen for the list that we compiled as a group in our
Right,
last meeting, so that we're on the same page about all the things we talked about.
right.
Um, and this is what I shared in our last big committee meeting as well. Not the retreat, but the one before that. Is this big enough to see?
I could, well, I could,
Yep.
yeah.
Okay. Uh, these are just our kind of intentions, what we were just saying. Our intentions are both. And possible activities included something to this effect. We talked about the difference between having an event in which we invite town council or elected officials to participate and inviting people to our meeting.
Mhm.
Pros and cons to both. Do we want to tackle this part first before we move on to other things like letters and the sort of promotional campaign kind of stuff?
Sure.
So let's talk through
Could I just go back and make sure I understood something? I think we just agreed. Are we saying that we want to let the council know if they're working on something, it's time to get it in, or do we want them to wait until the initial report? Or neither?
uh I okay, if I'm answering this question and you may feel differently,
Sure.
I don't feel like the input of the town council or staff, if we want to do another push around that, has to wait for the initial report to be completed.
Okay.
That's my feeling.
Okay, because we're well into it now and we don't, it's getting something new now. We do have Kathy's 6-pager to deal with somehow, but okay, thank you. So let's keep going.
Okay, so the question I'm putting to us as a group is, what kind of proposal would we want to bring back to the larger committee about either having an event in which we invite the public and also town council to have a conversation about the initial report. This is post initial report. Or, right, and or inviting certain elected officials or town officials to our committee meetings
Uh-huh.
for a deeper kind of conversation.
I have my preference, but I'll wait for Meg.
Don't know.
Mm.
Where is it on this?
I've highlighted it here at the bottom.
Oh, at the bottom. Okay.
This was the idea, was like maybe an event, but then we got into a conversation which we weren't able to complete, which was about what would it mean to invite people to our meeting
Right.
instead of or in addition to this.
Right. The charter commission that did the charter did that a couple of times. They had the school committee come in once and counselors come in once, but I'm neutral. What do you think, Raphael?
I would like to sort of, considering the timing, capacity, I'd like to couple it. I think there's so many things that we've done as a committee where we'd hear from Collins reviewing the charter. I wish more people from the public were there.
Yeah.
Um, and I hope that this event perhaps could be an invitation to folks just to hear more about where we are, how town councilors feel about where we are when it comes to what's in that initial report, just their
Mhm.
thoughts about things. So my vote would be to couple things. The trickier part though is I think we'd have to start plotting and preparing that soon.
Mhm.
So we'd have to get buy-in from the council in terms of timing,
Yep.
who's gonna attend, and then
Mhm.
the advertising of things. We need a little more lead time. We need lead time.
Right. It's a great idea.
Yeah.
Where are you, Erica?
I see the advantage of both. And I also see that, in other words, having a public event where we can have council and whoever members of the public who are invested and interested in participating, and maybe we can reach more people to participate than have already participated, or different people. Having that conversation could be really activating. In an ideal circumstance where we have enough lead time and enough advertisement to sort of get a kind of a tipping point of people in the room. It's a very different animal to have, like, a couple members of council come to our meeting to have maybe a more specific deep dive into certain topics that arise from the initial report, as an example. On the one hand, I feel like it kind of privileges their view because they've already been given a lot of opportunity to have input, and that door's been open a long time. Not that I want to shut it, but that it's a special invitation. But on the other hand, these are folks who have the closest working knowledge of how the charter itself is operating, which is not the only issue on the table for us, as it turns out, but it is a big issue. So now the last thing I wanted to say about that for now is that this is, in my mind, different than the public forum that we are required to have as part of the charge, which is after the preliminary report. So I wouldn't want this to negate the other, or to take the wind out of the sails of the other, if you see my point.
Yes. Would be additional.
Yeah, I think for me, what matters is when it comes to like that invitation to the whole committee, who's joining us. Hopefully everyone has an invitation. But the thing is if people want to attend that meeting, they can. The public still can.
Yeah.
I just think like that space isn't, doing an event will push us to perhaps share in a wider audience with a different type of, share with more folks with a different type of energy. These meetings exist, they're publicized. So I just think that gives us something to think about when it comes to like just sharing what's happening with these town council members. And even if we just invite them to speak in the whole group meeting, I think we have to push to let folks know that this is happening.
Yeah.
I just think I don't want to forget that piece because these meetings happen. Some really sort of committed folks show up. They could show up to that event, but I don't want to lose sight. Like we have to do some work around like this is happening. And the element that's different is your town councilors will be speaking on this.
Right.
Right. Okay.
I
So
just don't want it to be like, oh, the town councilors are just speaking to us. I get it, but I just feel like we want to push for just public awareness and engagement as much as we can.
Okay, so one way we could do it, I think that's a really great point, is to do it in a series as opposed to in one. Because first of all, like not everybody might be able to make it in one time. And we might be able to, if we do it, let's say as an example, do it across 2 committee meetings for one part of the meeting so that we can still do our whatever business is up that week.
Yeah.
So that might be a way to do it, to aim for getting half the council members to show up on one of those 2 nights.
Yeah.
As an example, and publicize it as much as we reasonably can to get public attendees to be present.
Yeah, the one thing to consider is just our timeline.
Yeah. Big one.
Because folks will still have to, if they're sort of leaning into like the second push feedback, there's work to be done there for the feedback committee.
Yep.
So we'd have to, if this is in play, we'd have to move quickly.
Yeah. My biggest concern is getting the word out to people that we had frustrations getting the word out for our first cycle of listening sessions. And whatever we decide, I have energy to make sure people hear about it. But sorry,
Yeah.
interrupted the flow of the conversation.
I do want to point out though that I think there's been a sort of framing of this process that I think isn't ideal for us. I think this isn't the only charter review committee that's challenged when it comes to inviting people to listening sessions.
Yeah.
The document that I shared at our last the retreat, it has all that stuff in it. I think people assume like this process when it comes to public engagement, there's a lot of moving parts. And I think you have to be like offering different ways to engage the public. But
Yep.
I do want to publicly say, like, a lot of people responded to the form. I think
Yeah.
we missed that. We need to, I think, make sure that's shared. But I think for me, like moving forward, we just need to make sure the public's aware, like there are different ways for you to engage with this initial report.
Right. That's my biggest concern too. Make sure that people who want to participate and follow us have the information they need to be able to do that.
Yeah. And here's where I'm at with this subcommittee, because if you think about the work to be done, the timeline, I think we should just target a few things that would really make a strong push towards.
Yeah.
I just think in terms of capacity stuff.
Yep.
Right. That's why I wanted to have this list in front of us and really like prioritize what's our sort of what's realistic. Let me
Yeah.
just stay with before we go spin off this
Yeah.
idea of inviting town council members to our meeting. If that is we're considering part of our outreach effort and we want to put some energy behind that, we want to, I think what we're saying is we're targeting this period, this that has now been called October 2nd through 30th, right? Like as the window where we want to have counselors come to our meeting and publicize that. Is that right?
Yeah. And I'm not sure, Erica, I would do more than one. I think it would make sure the public's aware, town council invited to,
Mhm.
and behind the scenes, you're inviting folks. But doing more than one, I think in terms of our timeline, tricky.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm just anticipating the people that won't be able, the counselors themselves who won't be able to be present, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, and aiming for one is just fine.
And just in terms of like what's here, like there have been other ways for town council members to weigh in.
Yeah,
So this is just another.
yeah.
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 Okay.
Turn on the light here. It's getting to be dark. I can hear you though. Keep going.
I'm gonna go down this list a little bit so we can review and see if things still make sense. Once an initial report is done, dates being different, but we proposed making the initial report available on the website. That is a light lift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do it.
And I
Did we
think
number these? So, but we can just remember bullet one.
you want me to go number them?
Well, it doesn't matter, but it's just when this one makes it's a light lift. We all agree to do it, right?
Yeah. That's something that I can easily do once the report is done in some format. Writing a piece for local publications summarizing the process so far and requesting additional input on the charter or on the initial report itself. That's, I believe, Meg, the draft that you
Well, I
did.
could change it so that it does summarize the process better. But yes, I'm happy to do that. I'm a big believer in drafts and people commenting, but that's an easy one to do, it seems to me.
Can we set up a timeline for that though? Because I haven't commented on your draft. Let's just be clear about what's in it. Is this piece only focused on summarizing the process so far and sort of letting folks know that an initial report exists, or are we also weaving in details about what is in the initial report?
So my draft that I wrote is sort of neither. It's kind of saying that this report is available. Yeah, either one, whatever you think. I'm happy to change it and edit it.
You do have some stuff in there, Meg, that's about like, we've been gathering input from residents, and we can kind of quantify that a little bit to
Yeah.
make it more, give it a little bit more heft.
Right.
And I think to Raphael's point, we could, after our next committee meeting, we could add a little bit more, a couple of highlights maybe on some things that we have heard. It doesn't have to be every topic, right? But we could
So example,
highlight some
Themes that are emerging in.
some themes or
agree.
some repeat topics that we know keep coming back,
that's a great idea because it would make it more interesting.
and specific.
Specific, yep.
But I would hope the tone of the piece is not only informational, but awareness building and appreciative of those who have sort of contributed to this process thus far.
Yep.
I think the constant like this town not engaged, I think it's just tricky to sort
Yep.
of lead with that. I think we had people that contributed. I would love if that sort of made clear, but also just it's an additional call. We
Yep.
want to hear from you.
Great. I can do a new draft for those two things.
Yeah. It's a, the tone is like, it's input is welcome and encouraged, right? And also it's without chastising. It's ongoing, right? It's an ongoing effort. It's not a,
Right.
we're
Okay.
really continually opening the tent.
Yeah.
Would you like, shall I work? I'm volunteering to do that. Is that okay?
Yes, that's good. I think like Raphael was making a point that we should have a timeline around it so that we can,
Yeah.
you can draft, we can have input, and we can come up with a final.
So it's my opinion that giving edits isn't deliberation. I don't know if Athena's still with us, but that you could edit without waiting for a meeting. Because we've all agreed, we've deliberated and agreed with what we wanted to say.
Well, we can clarify that.
Because
And
it just takes so long to do everything if we have to wait for a meeting, for example, to give edits to a draft.
Yeah,
Whatever, I want to follow the law, but
understood.
I
Yeah.
want to get this. We've had, close to 24 of these committee meetings and it's so slow, but I can handle it.
So I'll clarify, you can work on a draft. I'll clarify with Athena whether we can kind of edit legally edit the draft outside of meeting time. And then let's say we want to turn this around rather quickly so that it can be ready for the next step, which is to send it out into the world in various ways.
Right. I agree. That's why I drafted it. I took the initiative to just draft something so we could be
Yeah,
moving.
no, I appreciate that. My question is, given that we have said it might be interesting to include just a few bullet points that highlight things that exist in the initial report findings, are we saying that this letter kind of should wait until October 2nd, or can we get it done before then so that on or after October 2nd, if that still remains the initial report target date, we can be ready with this letter?
Well, that's only in 3 weeks.
Yep.
Whatever you think.
I would say, Meg, I think if you work on your draft, share it with us, we commit to like coming to our next meeting, which maybe is on the 24th, and tightening up the parts of the letter that we can write, it
Good.
positions us well for closing out of that piece with just some details about what themes emerged. I don't even think you need to wait for what the themes are. I think a part of the letter could just begin with that framing around certain themes emerged. And I think you quickly note what they are to complete that letter that should go out soon.
Okay, can you just say what one or two that you think are the themes that have emerged? Just so I'm on the right track.
I don't think you should come up with the themes yet, Meg. I think we should just write the language around several themes have emerged.
Okay,
And then we'll
blank.
fill that in.
Yeah,
Okay,
we could just fill that part in
okay,
once.
I just misunderstood. I thought you were thinking
Yeah.
I would identify the themes.
No, I
But
think you
rather,
could
I mean,
just,
I'm happy to not do this. I'm just trying to help move it along.
I think it's very useful to do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So should we keep going?
Yep.
But I would
Uh,
say before we move forward, like Meg,
Yep.
when do you think you could get us that draft by? It would be great if we have it next week.
Oh yeah,
And-
I'll try to get it to you by the end of this week.
And then Erica, you're okay with working on that next week so we could come back together on the 24th? To
Yes.
finalize? Okay.
Yes, I just FYI, I'm away for a few days over next weekend. I'll fill you in on exactly, but yes, I will find time to edit and contribute to the draft.
Great.
Great. Well, I'll try to get it out by the end of this week.
Okay.
Great.
I'll be away for 5 days in October, which is, sorry, but I can tell everybody later.
Okay.
Signed up for
Um,
something. It's actually a theater trip to Chicago, believe it or not, so we might have some street theater
Nice.
or National Guards putting mulch around trees. Anyway, never mind, sorry.
No, that's good. Okay. So I'm writing down that your draft is gonna come next week so that we can be reviewing and working on it and have it available to work on to finalize for the 24th.
Yep. In which case, so to send it to them, we need to do, I guess we can just bring it to the meeting, but if our meeting is say Wednesday and theirs is the next night. I mean, our larger meeting is, well, we'll just do the best we can do.
I don't think this will be an enormous amount of
No.
work to edit. I think that we can do it pretty easily.
This
I
email,
I had a question actually that I wasn't clear on when I left the retreat, which is the status of next week's committee meeting. Because the committee meeting this week was a bit of a surprise, but normally the next meeting would have been the 18th, but it's the block party. So what do you all remember what was?
I think we
decided?
added the meeting tomorrow as an additional meeting to the not changed schedule. So in other words, it's tomorrow and then it's again on the 18th. We voted not to go to the block party because there's no reason to have a table that we're sitting at asking people for input. And we don't have anything to show them of the input we've gotten so far. Do you remember that, Raphael? There was a discussion about this and we approved not going to it.
I don't think we put forth a motion. I think we don't do that enough, but
Yeah.
I think it was discussed. I think there was an idea about getting feedback at the block party, but most folks were like, that's not a good idea.
Yep.
And I don't think we'll have the initial report won't be done. It would have been great if initial report were done. We could just perhaps even at an event like that pass out thing. I don't know. But I think it looked like most people were against it.
Right, I was. I mean, I'm a big one for outreach, but I don't know what the point of it would be. Plus, I've done a number of those things where you sit behind a table. Well, I don't have to make the same point again, but people are not at the block party to think deeply about town government. But
My feeling though is if we don't have like some clear things on the table in terms of whole committee meeting, there's a lot to be done.
right,
So I guess we'll deal with it tomorrow, but the feedback committee has a lot of work to do. I think there's work that we could be doing. So we'll see how things go tomorrow.
yeah. So if we keep going down this list.
Yes.
Number 3, I've agreed to expand the neighborhood email thing. I think we should let Samantha do her thing, but she doesn't have these neighborhood email lists, and there are a number more I know we could get. And then the idea was that I would write to somebody on each list and say, will you agree to send our report out when we send it to you, report out to your neighborhood email list. So that when this happens, when we have whichever report we want to send out, the initial report or the preliminary report, it's funny using two words for different things that actually mean the same thing, initial and preliminary. But anyway, that they're prepared and they'll do it.
So
It's like,
when
I'm
you go
happy,
ahead,
pardon?
you go ahead.
I'm happy to do that.
When we say email campaign, what do we mean? What
So
are we sending out?
whatever report we're going to send to the newspaper or that we
Yeah,
send it to individual emails that are,
yeah.
many of them around town based on neighborhoods, like there are 3 co-housing communities, they all have one. Echo Hill has 2, and Ken agreed to be the contact for those. Amherst Woods has 2 or 3.
Mhm.
And we've already
So-
got about 12
Could
of
I, could I add to that? Because one other, and this crosses over with another bullet point down here, but one other way that we might do, mechanism that we might use for outreach is that each district counselor maintains their own mailing list
Good idea.
of residents in their district. We don't have access to those, and I don't think we need to go to the hard work that it would be to request all of those. But I think we could ask town councilors to email their respective constituent lists on our
That's a-
behalf. We could prepare the language and just ask them to send it with a link embedded or whatever.
I think that's a great idea. And it's exactly what I'm talking about, only you said it more clearly. We'd send it to all the counselors for their list, but also to these other neighborhood groups, to any informal email list that we can find.
Right.
It
So
can't,
you,
if we don't get every one, that's okay. If we get 20, that's better than 0.
So
so you all are feeling like we're lifting language out of the piece that we're writing for this email? Or is it what's in the email?
It's an email that says the cover one to the contact person would be, please send this to your email list, your neighborhood list. And what,
Raphael, I think it's a solicitation. It's as you said earlier, it's both awareness building and a
Okay.
solicitation for input.
yeah,
But a much more abbreviated version of that than would be published in a newspaper. It's an ask.
right,
Yeah.
And
exactly.
we're,
But
if we're, when I said earlier, we're making the initial report available on the website, it's the town website, but also we have a space on our sort of charter review committee site that can, still take whatever however we want to do it, take traffic to put the report right there.
Right.
yeah.
So it's available for feedback. It's available to read with a link right next to it to add your voice, add your comments
Yeah.
in this way. So
Right.
that's what I imagine when I
Yeah.
say email campaign, like that's
Right.
what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of contributing the technical part of gathering these lists. Whatever we say in the email is up to the group.
Yeah.
So I think we could use that piece that we're working on for publication and use that to build a email that we share with people on this committee
Mhm.
that use for this list. It just has the same sort of tenor, but shortened a bit, and provide that to folks on this committee to share where they can. But we could also split the list and move towards like us sharing, emailing folks on the list that's been compiled.
Right. Sounds good.
One second, making
Our
a note.
neighborhood association has, 350 names on a list. We'd use it.
Yeah.
One second, I'm just making a note.
And I just think embedding that feedback form in that letter or email, it would be great.
Yeah, I'm totally commenting only on the developing the capacity to send out messages, and
Mhm.
what we want to say in the message is up to others or to you or to everybody. Whether it's a feedback form or attachment, read this or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just we haven't been as creative as I think we could have been in terms of reaching.
Okay, so the big piece for number 3 is coming up with the list that it goes out to.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is multifaceted. So one piece of that is Meg, if you could please make a note to yourself to like, I know you have before, but if you could please email us again, whatever state that list was in when you last touched it,
Right.
so that we have a good starting place.
And I'm going to add a couple of things that you said tonight, like the counselors lists and so on.
Yeah, that's great. And then
Okay, I'll
that's
do that
something
tomorrow.
I'm going to take whatever you send me and I'm going to put it into a shared document so that we can all be adding to
Great.
it. And if we just add what you find, add what you think of, and then we meet about it on the 24th, right? Again,
Right.
we'll talk about the letter and the draft, and we'll talk about the list, make sure it all makes sense.
Yeah.
Right.
At
And
that
so-
time.
So for example, if there's an email list, Erica, that you suggested and you know the contact, there might be a spreadsheet that says email list, contact person in our committee who's in touch with that contact. I'm sure there's a better way to say it, but so that when this happens, we just deploy everybody to
Yeah.
send it out,
Yeah,
whatever it is we decide to send.
right. And
Yeah.
I think once it's ready, we can happily bring it to the larger committee to get their input as well, and like
Yeah.
who's a good person to reach out to.
And ideally,
A
we
good
would
group, yeah.
communicate with each person ahead and say, this will be coming. Please be ready or whatever. So, or thank you for agreeing. Somehow that they know this is that they're playing this function.
Right.
Shall we keep going through this?
Yep.
Okay, so that to me relates to this item, which is something we had talked about that we could, and we may want to scratch this out because we are inviting the council to our meeting potentially, and we're also outreaching to their constituent lists.
Yeah.
So this may be overkill, but I just wanted to say we had talked about us as a group or representatives of the committee as a whole attending the town council meeting with the intention, like getting an agenda item onto a council meeting to have a moment to talk about our efforts and to get those, recruit them basically to help us
Right.
publicize.
Great.
But like I said, that might not be the most effective. It may be more effective just to ask them to distribute the report via email once it comes.
What we need to have to do this is the exact approximate timing, like we'll be sending you this report or this whatever around this date within the next 3 or 4 days. Could you mail it out, blah, 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 or whatever. We need a timeline so that we're,
Yeah, we're not going to get one till tomorrow at the soonest.
oh, I know, but
Um,
I think that the timeline, we're on such a, none of us want to be doing this the week between Christmas and New Year's.
My read on this though, Meg, is a little different. I don't know. I think what we're sending out to all these folks is not like a timeline, but respond to the initial report.
Oh, I agree, totally. I misspoke.
Yeah.
We have a timeline, they don't. I mean, we need to get clear what, and then I don't think we can do it until tomorrow or even later, but
I do think we don't need to know like we just need the initial report, to be honest.
yeah, well, when,
Needs
but
to
don't
be
you
done.
think we need to know when?
I think we have to have these things ready to go.
Yeah,
So I think like once that initial report is ready, our piece for publication is close to being done. The email that we're sending out close to being done. And we're just waiting to add like a few elements about themes from
yep,
initial report.
I agree. Perfect. Should we keep going through this list? What
Okay.
did we decide about attend a council meeting?
That's what I was about to ask.
Yeah.
We can leave that pending and see if it makes, that's just sort of finding a council meeting that makes sense with enough lead time to ask to be put on the agenda. I don't think that we need a month lead time for something like that. I think that we can do that as the time comes closer.
Yeah,
because I want to leave that open, honestly, because if the full committee feels like they're not on board with the idea of inviting council to our meeting with public attendees, then we're going to have to rethink that. Even though I think we three have a consensus that we value that, and I hope we could get that across. But
Thing is they can't stop public attendees. No one on the council can.
I don't know.
The thing that's what we're trying to push for is we need to publicize more. So we'll see if they're interested in that.
Yep.
Does
So
that
we-
make? Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe we're talking about two different things. I'm not sure.
Go ahead.
No,
So-
I
I'm saying even if we invite them, if folks hear about them coming to this meeting, the public can still come. We've
Of
had people
course.
from the public. I think like hopefully the committee is okay with us sharing advertising that counselors are joining us in our meeting.
Yeah,
Mhm.
100% I'm with you. I
Yeah.
think what I think is we three in this subcommittee are
Yeah.
on the same page about that. I'm not 100% sure that the full committee is
Okay.
going to have the same feeling about inviting council
Okay.
with
agree.
public into our meeting. I may
I
be
agree.
wrong. It may be that it's a unanimous vote, but I just don't, I'm not 100% certain. So I feel confident that the three of us are on board with doing that and why and good reasons for doing it as part of these efforts.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay.
I'm just saying, Erica, a piece that I think the public is invited. I just think like
Yeah.
I hope the committee is okay with us publicizing it more. Just doing some different things to make sure we do more to make sure people are aware these meetings are happening. And that's a slightly different element in terms of town council members being in the mix.
Right.
Yeah.
Keep going here.
Okay.
I know Scott Mersbach quite well. I feel that it's time. He's asked me, can I write I want to write a report. What's going on? Is there anything to write? What's happening? He's really ready to write something, and he could interview a couple of people on the committee, the larger committee.
Okay. So once the initial report's done, you feel like that's the time to reach out?
I don't know. I'm just offering to be, if I can be helpful. I feel it's time to have an article in the paper.
Yeah.
I think having the article in the paper line up with when the initial report becomes public is great timing. So I think if you want to reach out and give him a heads up that that's something we might like to have him do if the timing works for him. I mean, I think the timing's key.
Yeah, so the initial report, not the preliminary report.
Yeah, the first one.
Okay, so I'll be in touch with him and say we're getting to a point where we're going to be publishing something, coming out with the initial report. That's a good time to do a story. And
Yeah.
he's asked me to let him know, so.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
once we sort of vote on the timeline, you'll be clear about when that initial report is coming.
Yeah, I'll
That's
wait
right.
till that.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm not so sure about a video.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
had talked about including that as part of our outreach efforts to sort
Yeah.
of like, because it's more personal than an email maybe, or just an email.
I wish we had a small budget. We don't. And
Yeah.
I think our capacity is limited. So I think many people have done this work would say that sort of multimodal approach to sort of sharing what's happening here perhaps could enhance the process, but we don't necessarily either have the capacity budget to, I think, take that on right now. So I would vote for perhaps.
I agree. I mean,
I think
go ahead, sorry.
I think that I think it's actually a great idea, and I think it personalizes it and takes away the feeling that like we're doing things behind closed doors, and it's very open and welcoming. I think that the challenge of it is that
Athena has a hand up, Erica.
yeah, Athena, go ahead, please.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was just going to say that Sam has done videos for our social media in the past.
Yeah.
And she does those really well, so we might be able to do those without an additional cost.
Huh.
Great.
Where are they shown?
Instagram, probably Facebook too.
Oh,
Yeah. I
So,
think
yeah,
that's great. And Athena, I was going to get to that I think we could use very low budget. I could hold my phone up and say something into it, right? And but or Sam could do probably a much better job. But the real issue is getting it out in the world. Um and I think like with evidence of what the even though those social media platforms were used for the listening session promotion, the reach didn't seem to go as far as we thought it might, even though I'm pleased with the way the sessions went and the feedback that we heard. It has maybe a limited reach. So I don't think to my mind, it's not necessarily a budget question that limits it. It's just whether it's the cost benefit, and I don't mean dollars, but I mean energy to output of doing it.
I hear that. I think if folks want to, if they feel they have the capacity, it would add to this process.
yeah. Another idea is that the League of Women Voters has a new radio program on democracy. They might do a story and they pay for it. They have a person who's doing it.
Oh,
That's
wow.
just another idea. It's not a video, but and I don't know what their distribution plan is. I just know they're doing it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not as good as video.
I do think what we should make sure
Actually, maybe it is video.
Sure.
I need to find out.
trying to pay attention to is just tracking what's coming in after this push. I'm not sure. We just need to sort of attend to that, just in terms of like what's been the response quantitatively. If we're tracking what's coming in through those forms, I think that could help this process in terms of clarity. Because there's a lot of sharing about what's not done, lack of response. I think a sort of process like this benefits from that type of specificity. I'm not sure if folks would want to take that on though.
I'm not sure I understand, like folks, like
So-
when you
so-
say folks might not want to take it on, what do you mean?
So thus far, I'm not sure if we've quantified the number of responses. Have we? Is that in the report?
I think I don't know a number, but I know that the master spreadsheet that Andy shared from his group, not the one that we used for voting, which is a sort of pared down comprehensive one. But if you look at that large spreadsheet that contains everything and it's broken into tabs by like what was the mechanism by which we received the feedback,
Mhm.
I think everything is there. And so you could
Okay,
at least
great.
get a sense of like quantity.
Yeah.
And it's substantial, but I don't know a number off the top of my head.
Yeah. I just mean like whoever's writing said report, and for us to keep this in mind. Like I think just having details about this number of responses in initial phase, what followed that is important.
Right. I know that for the part that I have eyes on, which is the survey response bucket, the town official and staff responses, I will be able, if we get additional ones, I will be able to see and quantify what came after the
Yeah.
initial deadline and what came after this push, for instance.
For our report, do you mind putting a note about that? For the
For
whole
our,
for the whole committee. In this report that goes out to the whole committee, when we're sharing, let's just make folks aware. It's something that I think we should do.
yeah. You mean to our committee, you're
To the
saying?
whole committee, yeah.
Yeah.
Just while you're writing, I wrote to my friend who's doing that league thing, and if he writes back, I'll let you know what he said.
Right.
Okay, I am going to just say, I think from our discussion, I'm not crossing off video, but I'm not prioritizing it because I want us to maybe prioritize these other things and make sure we've got those going.
Yeah,
I think that the video stuff would be a really nice to have, but I would feel more confident about it once we make sure we have all the other stuff
Makes sense.
well underway. So,
good.
um,
Looks like my friend is writing back. Can't tell.
okay, we did 5, which is invite the Gazette to write something. Number 6, we're almost at time. So
Yeah.
attending the town council meeting, I think please tell me if I'm getting this wrong, but I think what I heard is we can kind of hold on that because we're putting emphasis on inviting council to our meeting. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I think we could hold on that. That would be my vote.
Okay.
I agree. They have busy meetings, and the thing
Yeah.
that's funny is they already came to one of our meetings and took like 45 minutes of time, but that's okay.
That was one committee.
Yeah, right.
It was about a very specific topic.
Yep, right.
So,
That worked, I thought.
number 7, including an invitation for feedback in the initial report itself. So having the invitation for feedback can just be, if we're distributing this via a PDF or an attachment to an email, is what we were saying earlier, having a link available that goes to our website, which lists a couple of different ways to participate. Our listening sessions are concluded, but you can still go submit written comments, or attend attend the meeting in which we invite council, or attend the public forum, which
Yeah.
will probably be in November at this rate. So this, I think, is not a heavy lift. Number 7, we can still do that. We don't have to do any prep work for it.
Yeah.
So I just heard from my friend, and they'd love to do a show on the charter review process, and they would pay for everything. But it doesn't mean we want to do it. I'm just giving you that information. Because the league was real involved in, had a big process related to the charter review. They had a whole 9-month long thing, so they would care about this,
Yeah. I love that.
Right.
and they'd pay for it. They have a lot of money, the league, all those book sales.
I know, that's
They don't spend it on anything. It's just sort of this big unknown. Well, tell people, don't tell, but I'm just saying it's pretty amazing.
Okay, we got down to the last item here. The idea was hold one additional outreach event which invites public and town council to be in conversation. I think, again, I'm summarizing what I think we discussed and where we landed, which is we're going to favor, for this period, we're going to favor inviting council to our meeting and publicizing the fact that that's happening, and then maybe save this effort for a public forum, which happens after a preliminary.
Sounds good to me.
Sounds
Sounds
good.
right? Okay. Just want to make sure I got the consensus of the group.
Yep.
All right. So, I'm just doing a very, very quick overview before we conclude. Putting it on the website, that's going to be me, and that I can work with Sam and make sure that gets done once the initial report is done. Number 2, writing a piece for a local publication. That's Meg's draft, and we're going to get it next week, and we're going to start working on it. Athena, are you in earshot?
Yep, I'm here.
Hi, we had a question earlier about if Meg were to draft something and send it to us. I forget what the rule is about whether we can edit outside of meeting time.
If Meg sends a draft to everyone and everyone sends feedback just to Meg, then she can share it at the next meeting. But once you start going back and forth, that becomes a problem.
Okay. And I'll be just making edits that are based on input that everybody just gave, but still, I'll do that. I'll send it to everybody, and we'll have one-on-one comments.
Okay, and thanks, Athena. And the other part was we are trying to fill in some detail on a kind of a big contact list, like an email list. So it's not drafting a letter, it's just adding emails or people that we know to a list. Does the same rule apply?
No, I think that's fine.
Okay.
You're not really
So we're
deliberating.
gonna, thank you for that. So
Right.
we're gonna go ahead with the plan for that, which is, Meg, you're gonna send me the existing list. I'm gonna put in a shared document and everybody can contribute what you know to that list.
Okay.
Okay. And then,
Am I going to send the letter to just the two of you, right?
that's right.
Yeah, okay, good.
And then we'll send you individual feedback as we can, and then we'll meet about it to finalize it.
Great.
And then you're going to include the language around certain themes emerged, and we're going to leave that blank until we know what we want to say about that once
Right.
we're closer to a final report or a final initial. We're waiting on video for now. Meg is going to invite the Gazette at the appropriate time. We're waiting. We're going to hold on the town council meeting. And we are going to make sure there's an invitation for feedback in the report itself. And the other thing that Raphael mentioned that I'm going to try to bring to committee meeting tomorrow is a little quantifying of the responses and what we got from what sort of platforms.
Great. Thank you, Erica. Excellent.
All right. Anything else that we missed?
No.
Even though there's no tornado warning, I'm going to motion that we adjourn.
Second.
You all jumped on that, huh?
What's that?
It was good timing to
It
exit.
was good timing. I got home just in time. All right. We'll
All
see you all
right.
tomorrow. Thank you
all
very
tomorrow.
much.
Thanks.
Thank you both.
Thanks, Athena.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Bye.